Alright guys, and welcome to the 36th episode of Below the Bar.
In this episode, I expect to find out what Americans think of British culture, why we had to abandon the Austin Half Marathon,
And how US supermarkets are part of a government conspiracy to keep the nation obese.
Let's get into it. What's happening, guys?
Before we get into the episode, we want to help you out.
In case you didn't know, when we're not gobbing off in Eddie's bar, we're actually online coaches.
We are indeed, and as a former Royal Marines commando, Harry spends his time helping people physically prepare for life in the military, and I can guarantee he'll get you through any arduous course you can throw at him. Isn't that right, Shep?
Bang on, Rex. And if you're tired of looking and feeling like shit, then let Eddie help you take back control of your life. He used to be a fat sack, and now he looks like a Greek god. That could be you.
If you want to transform how you look, perform, and feel, then get in contact with us.
The link will be in the description.
Hello, and welcome back to the podcast. It is Sunday Sunday afternoon, and I have no energy.
Yeah, Eddie's social battery is depleted today. We're recording at 4:45 on a Sunday afternoon, so Eddie's pretty low energy at the moment.
I've checked out.
Yeah, it's good because we just started recording.
Emotionally and physically.
Yeah, so to give context to that, I'm slightly extroverted, Eddie's slightly introverted.
Well, the regular listeners will know that I'm extremely introverted.
Yeah, so what happens as you go through the day and you have more interactions and conversations, particularly in America, reference our last episode with how kind of over-facing they can be. With every interaction, Eddie's battery is going down and down and down, almost like your phone if you continue to watch Netflix. Whereas the opposite really happens for me, and I start to get more energy as the day goes on.
That you get charged from talking to people.
It depends on the person, generally, but yeah, it does happen. I don't know. It's not very productive though, actually, because the more people you speak to then throughout the day, the more your energy rises rather than taper off at the end of the day. Yeah, and you have to switch off. That's
what I mean. So like your peak when you should be getting ready to go to sleep,
which is mental. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do have energy in the morning. I definitely do require caffeine. Not I don't require it, but like I notice if I don't have it. So here we have fucking look at this dripping about this fucking amazing place we've got. But anyway, we have a coffee machine here, but the caffeine in the coffee machine I think is just null and void.
For some reason, caffeine's just not really registering with me in America. I don't know why.
Even the coffee's out?
Yeah.
Really?
Not getting anything. I don't know why
cocaine.
That is. Maybe I am depressed.
Maybe. Yeah, that's good. We've discovered that in the first 2 minutes.
Just don't feel anything.
Yeah, I don't feel anything in terms of an uptick in energy. Do you not feel any upward inflection?
Not really, because I've had 2 like proper coffees today.
That's true, yeah. I mean, well, like we said earlier in the week, it doesn't actually make you more energetic. It stops you being tired. So it shouldn't...
Fucking knackered.
Well, I guess so. Maybe it's obviously not doing its job fully. I don't know. Maybe you need a stimulant break. But you don't have that much anyway.
No, but you see, that's the thing. It's not like I'm a mental caffeine addict.
Mm.
Like at home, I normally just drink instant coffee unless we go out for one.
It's weird because I definitely, like I say, if I don't have... Like normally on Sundays, we've done different stuff today, so it's not been the case. Normally on Sundays, I won't have one or I'll have like one a bit later in the day. I can definitely notice the difference with like my energy levels on a Sunday versus the rest of the week when I'm actually caffeinated. And training sessions are definitely worse if I haven't had caffeine. That's probably placebo, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about America. The general state of... Sorry to go into one of many pre-prepared rants on this podcast. They'll be coming thick and fast.
You scripted all these, yeah?
American coffee culture, or at least Austin coffee culture, is a bit shit.
Yeah. Which is weird. Because, well, I don't know, actually. I don't know whether that is fair, because it's certainly not as prevalent as it is in Europe or in Great Britain, or in Australia, for example.
What's the excuse? This is supposedly...
But yeah, this is what I mean. So I think
supposedly the best country in the world. Spoiler alert, it's not.
So I think places like, for people who haven't been to Austin, well, places like that South Congress Street, which is like a pretty hipster street, that has some decent coffee shops on it. It's just about finding the good places versus like, you know, you can walk around places in like London and that kind of place that you're gonna find more.
Yeah.
But things are so spread out here that you know you have to kind of know where you're going. So as we're here for longer, I think we'll find more regular spots. Like we found out only like 7 days in that we've got a coffee shop that's very decent, about 5 minutes drive away.
Yeah, that's deceiving though, because in 5 minutes on certain UK roads you could get about half a mile. It is still about 3 miles away.
Yeah, but it makes no difference, does it? Because you can still get.
No,
there.
but it's still like it's
you can't
not
walk
that close.
there, but you can still get there. Well, it's close in American terms.
Yeah, in American terms.
Anyway, we've gone straight in. We're gonna get into the segments to give it some punctuation. So helmet of the week.
Yeah, so helmet of the week and the other segments this week are all going to be kind of Austin related. We're basically going to do another review episode. Apparently, apologise for not caveating that at the start.
Yeah, so it's going to be kind of a weekly review again to bring you up to speed on what we've been doing this week in Austin.
Yeah, you were going to interview me, but I kiboshed that.
Yeah,
that's not happening.
As we said at the start of the podcast, Eddie's got no social battery, so that wouldn't have been great.
Yeah, if you were looking forward to that, then tough.
Yeah, so next week will be an interview episode with Ed, and the week after will be another guest episode. So look forward to those two.
Yeah, if you can put up with our bitter ramblings today, then there's a carrot waiting for you at the end of it.
Yeah, exactly. So helmet of the week, you can intro.
Helmet of the week. Where to even start with this absolute clusterfuck that I had to bear witness to.
This morning
we went and did a 10k, our first kind of organised race experience in the States. It was called the Bigfoot 10k. It was in the suburbs of Austin. It was pretty low key. It was about 100 entrants.
Yeah, but it was marketed as a forest run first of all, which is
we'll
get into that. We'll get into that.
Yeah. But the real transgression here was the fact that we had to stomach the American national anthem before we started the race.
Amongst Americans, I should add.
Amongst Americans, right. Imagine if you sign up for a park run in the UK and the hat who organised it suddenly started blaring
God Save the King.
God Save the King before you fucking set up.
It just doesn't happen, does it?
No.
Every single organised event, though, the national anthem is played here.
That is meant... But unpack that. Why?
It's just national pride. Everyone has mental national... It's weird.
Just a blind patriotism.
Well, 100%.
It's almost like they don't know why they're doing it. It's just because they always do it, they do it.
Yeah, that is literally what it is. And so, I mean, that was a little bit jarring in and of itself, standing there and having to listen to that. However...
It was the manner in which it was executed that was really quite cringe, wasn't it?
Yeah, and there was certain individuals...
certain transgressors.
that did really go for it, which was...
Well, there was certain levels of cringe, wasn't there? So just the mere fact that we had to listen to it was like the base layer of cringe. And then like one rung up from that was the people who had their hand on their chest.
Which was actually everyone apart from
Which
us.
was most people. Yeah, we were pointing and laughing, but that's
we'll get into that as well, yeah.
The worst people, kind of like the kind of... The
top of the pyramid, if you will.
The top of the pyramid were people who were civvies, by the way, I should say this. Non-military personnel who were saluting during the national anthem.
In civilian attire as well, which makes no logical sense.
One woman, actually left the rest of the crowd to find high ground from which to salute from.
Yeah, to seek out some high ground. Salute in the direction of the speaker that was playing the national anthem. Almost like the president himself was setting us off on the fucking 10k, which, spoiler alert, he wasn't. But like, so me and Eddie's role in all of this was basically just like giggling and then pointing at fucking people who were taking it super seriously and laughing at them. So people who were behind us and around us would just fucking thread us.
Because this race was quite low key and like more into the suburbs, it was kind of local people, so we were the only Brits there and the only kind of non-local, so to speak.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
So which added to it because we stuck out like a sore thumb then, didn't we?
Yeah, it was funny. And we, like I say, we were just fucking taking the piss. So, yeah, that was our helmet of the week. We just, we stumbled across that this morning. People who are...
Well, it's not, again, it's not... So, like, last week's helmet of the week was our mate Joshua Jesus.
Yeah, hasn't been as prevalent this week, has he?
No, he's fucking wrapped his chebs in, hasn't he? That's another story. And again, these people aren't necessarily malicious.
Oh no,
but it is helmet behaviour.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's again talking about the rungs. There's levels to helmet behaviour, isn't there?
Yeah.
You've got obviously major transgressors that we've covered in the past. You know that missell stuff on the internet,
Or
for
like
example.
fascists like Nick Griffin.
Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah, so
and then you've got people who just kind of blindly salute when their national anthem's played.
yeah, there's no holds barred here. Anyone could be helmet of the week.
No one's safe.
Careful, listeners, because I mean it could be you next week. Right, cool. So again, that's helmet of the week, and we covered a little bit around the 10K. But we'll get into that further. Do you want to go straight into that, or do you want to go chronological?
No. We'll square away the 10K, and I think we'll work backwards through the week.
Okay, I think that's a good idea. So yeah, so this morning, obviously saying we're recording it on a Sunday afternoon, so Sunday morning, we did sign up for a race. So full disclosure, we were going to do the Austin half marathon.
Yeah, we had every intention of doing a half marathon. If anyone remembers us saying we were going to do the Austin half, we didn't bottle it. It was a financial decision.
Insane, right? So, do you want to jimmy that? So, like, normal races in the UK, so half marathons are about 45 quid to sign up for, and that's like top end as well. That's not really apart from like London half or whatever, but like. Normal races, like residential, they'd be about 45 quid. The Austin half marathon was $209, which is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, that's over 5 times more expensive.
Yeah, and we've spoken to Americans about this as well, and they didn't even blink. Like,
No?
that's the going rate, apparently.
So we were talking to someone after the race, and Ed was like, yeah, it was fucking like $200. How mental? And this woman didn't even blink.
No.
Like,
She's
completely
like,
just
and your issue is?
deadpan. She was like, yeah, I know, and that's normal. But like, we said last week how expensive everything is. The admission fee for races is fucking ridiculous.
It's meant. So like this 10K was $40, and we thought, oh, that's pretty good for a 10K. When we actually unpack the kind of the effort and the general lack of administration that went into organising it, you can see why.
Yeah, we'll get into that in a minute. I was talking to the girl in the sauna today, and she was saying the Austin. There's another marathon. So this is the 3M one. There's another marathon, or the Austin full marathon, right? The marathon weekend in Austin
is in February.
Is in February. So there's a 10k, a 5k, and a half. I think she was saying the 5k. What is she saying now? It's like $130.
Oh my god!
Mate, the 5k. So she actually said, per mile you're spending like fucking $30, $40.
That's meant
per mile.
And the thing is, right, because Austin's so big, like along that 5k route, you won't see fuck all.
No, you won't. No. Well, I think the half or the marathon would be pretty sick.
You'd have to do the marathon to see any of the city.
Well, because it's quite a picturesque city and there's decent running routes, so I imagine it's pretty cool. But not $200 cool for us, so we couldn't justify that. So we signed up for this 10k. This 10k, like Eddie said, was $40, which is wild.
Well, let's do the 10k chronologically. So we've arrived, we've witnessed and experienced the national anthem.
Yep.
Then the bloke on the public address system / tannoy announces the course route, which we weren't aware of. Right.
So again, this was marketed as a forest 10k, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, like Eddie said, announces the course route. So he's like, okay, so it's an out and back course. Immediately when we hear that, we're like, fuck's sake, really, an out and back course? That's immediately like the race organisers just wrap their tits in there.
Yeah. If you're a runner and you do a lot of events and races, you'll know that out and back courses are the worst mentally.
Pretty shit, yeah. However, he then went on because there was a 10k and a 5k running at the same time. So we were like, okay, well, the 5k will be 2.5 out and back. The 10k will be 5 out and back easy. No. The fucking 10k was 2.5 out, 2.5 back, 2.5 out, and 2.5 back. So you end up seeing the same thing fucking 4 times.
So you do the 5k route twice,
and you almost cross the finish line twice.
Yeah, basically,
which is absolutely ridiculous.
They stop you marginally short just so that you don't have to do the finish line twice.
Yeah, so our intention was to do this super slow, super chill 10k because we were going into a 5k afterwards as a bit of like a long run for a Sunday. However, because the route was so jarring and so boring, we actually ended up doing it at kind of like 70% effort.
Just trying to get it over with.
Just trying to get it over and
I just wanted it to end.
I was like, fucking hell, this is so soul destroying. And it wasn't even like the actual out and back course was anywhere near engaging or interesting. It was just fucking down a road for genuinely down the same road for 2.5k, back on the same road for 2.5k, and then back again.
But again, if we unpack it more, again, it just adds to that. It makes no sense. So like the address that they send you to park is a park, and it's got a nice lake with like a little 5k loop around it, because we did the 5k loop afterwards, right? They run you out of that park onto a really fucking mundane suburban American road.
Not even like suburban. It's like a fucking dual carriageway.
It's just their equivalent of like a copy and paste British housing estate, basically.
Yeah.
You know the type, like, there's nothing to see.
Yeah.
There's nothing going on. There's no sights. It's out and back.
And
we saw that route 4 times.
Yeah, so I can probably describe it quite well. But but like Eddie said, we left a picturesque park to do that fucking boring route. And the most jarring thing was, like you said, there's that loop around the lake was about 5k, or it was like 4.5 or whatever. So what they could have done pretty feasibly was just done 2 laps of that for the 10k and 1 lap for the 5. And it was flat. It was like, again, in nature. It was like picturesque. It fit more with the Bigfoot thing. So basically what the race organisers have done, or I don't know, it seems to be American culture, just like...
It's just this general kind of like American attitude.
So
like,
lazy,
there's a distinct... We're big advocates of critical thinking on this podcast. Yeah. What I've found with Americans in general is a distinct lack of critical thinking. It's like going through the motions, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just like doing it because you've always done it, or taking the easy, whatever. But like, it's so lazy that as a race organizer, that is like, okay, how can we make this as low effort for us as possible? Let's just have some people at the fucking start, some people 2.5k away, and we'll just make people do relays of that. Sweet, yes, job done.
But then again, like, so if you go and do a race in the UK or whatever, it will be marshalled by volunteers. It's all kind of like people associated with run clubs and stuff. Why did we have a heavy police presence?
Yeah, so true.
We had police at the end of every road, making sure that, I don't know, some kind of rogue vigilante driver wasn't trying to mow us down.
Yeah. Yeah.
Four different police vehicles along this route, which, by the way, was all on pavement.
Yeah, and there's one, that's like one for every 25 participants.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. So yeah, that was unreal. So again, chronological. So we do the fucking out and back route. We were like, again, trying to push a little bit at the end because just wanted to get something out of it because it wasn't enjoyable.
Yeah.
Psychologically. So again, we crossed the line in like 47 and 48 minutes respectively. And then we go and get our medals and that. We're just like about to go to the car and crack on with this 5k extra. And they go, Eddie, and they were like, yeah. You're like, oh, second place. Here we go. I was like, what? And then they were like, oh, is that Harry? Okay, first place. I was like, fuck.
Yeah. So we accidentally won the race.
Yeah. How the fuck do you win that? That was mental. Because like, so in the UK, if like you put on a 10k, the winners will be like 38, 39 minutes.
There'll be local racing snakes.
Yeah, and it's just, I don't know what happened there. That's really strange.
So we were none the wiser to this. It's like, oh well, how do you accidentally win a race? Because there's a 5k going on at the same time, you completely lose track of where people are at. Like, because the bibs didn't,
and because it's out and back.
Because the bibs didn't distinguish which race you were doing. You had no idea. So
it's not like a first past the post.
So it's not like a loop route where like you know where you stand, because people are constantly coming back on each other. You don't know whether people are on their second lap, their first lap, whether they're running the 5k, the 10k.
So we had no idea that we were in that position. But anyway, it's a nice little surprise that we fucking won the age group or whatever. And that was about 65% effort. And then we again set off on this little bimble 5k. But the funny thing is, if we take it back, I don't know if any of you remember, we did the real half marathon, which we also dripped about after doing it.
Yeah.
Which is
justifiably dripped about.
Yeah, which is by the fucking... Is it Wales, isn't it? By the Welsh seaside, basically. It's a little seaside town. It's a bit of a shithole. But it was a half marathon, and it was like, 7k out, and then like 10k back, and then another fucking whatever. It was out and back, but it was like relays, but at least they changed the route a little bit. There was a slight
kind of variation in the route. It wasn't entirely out and back, but it kind of was.
Yeah, it was just like basically shuttles of the fucking seafront,
anyway,
which was soul destroying.
Yeah. Anyway, we said we'd probably never run a more kind of soul destroying race than that. Well, hold my beer.
Yeah.
Austin, Bigfoot 10k.
Shocking. Yeah. So
I mean, we won,
Less-
which
true.
was like the ice. We're kind of like a consolation prize.
So it was good. It was a good crack because we managed to build it into like a 15k run, which it was,
Because you fully sent it for the last 100 metres.
as always.
And like, obviously, because we didn't know we were actually vying for first place, I just laughed at you and called you a hat.
Yeah.
Because I was like, why are you sending a fucking
Well, I'll tell you why.
a shit park run?
It was because a bloke in front of me had done like a 40-minute 5k. So he was on the 5k, and then the last 100 meters decided to kick. And I was like, whoa,
Yeah.
you're not beating me here, mate.
It was a great decision though, because it actually meant that you won.
Yeah, I know exactly. Yeah, mad. I wish that happened at more races.
Imagine if we just crossed the line together, like we would have done otherwise. Because then it would have been like a photo finish.
Yeah.
Imagine
I don't
that.
think there was a fucking photo finish, guy.
We'll actually share that fucking little pin badge that you got.
Half and half, saw it half. So yeah, that was slightly jarring to be honest, but it was
It's an
like I say, it was
experience.
quite good. And actually, the take home I'll give to the listeners
Yeah.
is if you have got a long run programmed in to your fucking program, it's normally Saturday, Sunday, whatever. So if you have the finances and if you are struggling for motivation, sign yourself up for a race that's like a part of that distance. So 10Ks are fucking every week. So you can get a 10K booked in, and basically if it's like an 18K or a 15K, whatever, which 15K for us today, use that first 10K as part of your long run, because then that fucking 9 miles today didn't feel like 9 miles at all.
No, I think people get a bit stressed out because they normally try and align the exact distance with the run that they've got programmed.
Yeah.
So like if they've got like a half programmed in, they'll try and find a half to run.
Yeah.
But like what we're trying to say is actually just sign up, even if it's just a fucking 5k.
Yeah, just
it
build
just
it in.
breaks it up a bit more, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
exactly. Because all you're looking for on those long runs is time on your feet. So you're still achieving the same goal. You're just making it a bit more interesting. And that goes for actually anything. You don't have to sign up for a race potentially, but like, if you've got 90 minutes of zone 2 programmed in, that's boring as fuck. So go and climb Snowdon or something and do,
Yeah, just do that because
Just do something.
it's all time on feet.
Yeah,
isn't it?
exactly, mate. So that's the take-home message. Anyway, so if we work backwards now, next.
Well, what did we do? Was that the night out?
Night out.
Are we on the night out, right?
Yeah,
okay.
well,
I'll let you take the lead on this one because you were the main perpetrator.
The main perpetrator. Yeah, so we
I
did...
was sober.
True, Eddie's doing dry Jan. So Eddie was the designated driver. We went to Pokey Joe's on the way. That was actually good. We could a little...
Was that all in the same night?
Yeah.
That's mental. Yeah, so we went to Pokey Joe's, which none of you will know what it is. So that's
unless
good.
you've been to America.
So it's basically, if you know what Terry Black's is, well, if you don't know what that is, listen to last week's episode, then work yourself forward. It's basically a barbecue joint, isn't it? They're 10 a penny in Austin.
Yeah, so it's similar kind of idea. So you walk in, it's like a diner, sort of like a school canteen kind of vibe. As you get a tray and they go along and give you like random like bits of meat and then fucking whatever. Terry Black's is like insanely expensive because of how iconic it kind of is.
It's just marketing,
And
basically.
exactly, yeah, because it's marketed as the best barbecue ever. So it's pretty expensive. You don't get much for what you pay. We were told on the back of that information, if you do want more for what you get, more for what you pay, then go to Pokey Joe's. So we did, and I was very pleasantly surprised.
Quality-wise, it was exactly the same.
Pretty
it
much
was
the
no
same,
worse, and you basically get like
It's about double.
you basically get double the amount of food for
Yeah,
half
so
the
that was
price,
good.
effectively.
And the staff, I need to give the staff a shout out. Actually, the staff are very, very friendly
'Cause they're definitely listening.
in Pokey Joe's. Yeah, they are. So that was before the night out. So then we went to just this like strip, I guess. It's like the
Rainy Street, it's called.
Yeah, it's like the strip of bars in
Right, and
Austin.
we need to fucking contextualise this because when we say strip, people in the UK will think of like fucking the Napa Strip.
Oh yeah,
or like
true.
or like the Zante Strip. It's nothing like that.
It couldn't actually be further
It
from
couldn't
that.
actually be further. It couldn't be more tame than that if you tried.
It is mad. So we started, as you would, at the start of the fucking strip and then just basically pepper potted our way up the fucking street, going into different bars. There was probably never a bar. This is Saturday night as well, right? Saturday night? Friday night.
So you'd still expect, it's just equally, you should expect it to be, this is like their busiest, if not second busiest night.
That's what I mean. So there was not a bar all night that was over 70% full.
Yeah, and the clientele as well.
Covered this last week.
Distinct lack of talent.
There we go. Yeah, I've also discovered that Mum and Dad watched the podcast last week.
That's
which
good.
Is ideal.
Holy calf. That's good.
So yeah, that was actually quite jarring. And you were sober as well, so you got the full.
I had a very
picture.
different experience. Well, I know initially we had the same experience because you were still sober, but the longer I stayed.
True, and actually, to be honest, so the first bar we went into, right, we ordered 2 espresso martinis, myself and Jim, and Eddie obviously had a water, but mate,
wet.
Americans don't know what a fucking espresso martini is. It was the most wild thing ever. It was about 3/4 full for starters, which I can't get on board with. I don't know, about fucking 12 quid.
Yeah.
And it looked like piss water.
Yeah, so anyone of drinking age will probably know what an espresso martini
Should
should look
look like,
like. Obviously, drink responsibly. It's basically it's like the same kind of colour as a Guinness, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, exactly the same.
It's the same. This quote unquote espresso martini looked like rusty tap water.
It really is.
It looked like someone had drank an espresso martini, got the squits, and then passed it.
Yeah, true. With not too much digestive action going on.
No.
Yeah, so that was weird. I mean, we had 2 of them, to be fair. It was
so bad I had 2.
It was basically really strong, really sweet, and like a faint taste of kind of coffee liqueur, basically is what I can describe as. But because it was so strong, we had 2 of them. I was feeling it after that. And so I was quite benevolent after the initial espresso martini in the initial bar. And then we moved on to this next place. And this next place had a fucking slide in the bar.
Yeah, that was quite a good bar, actually. I was watching the basketball, so I was happy.
Yeah, you were...
You had a slide to keep you occupied.
Well, that's it,
There's levels to this.
Yeah, true. We met Dewey.
He could have actually been Helmet of the Week.
Oh,
he
yeah,
would
he
have been a
could.
good shout.
Well, we can pencil him in.
We could... Don't
Yeah.
worry. We'll meet another Helmet before next
Yeah,
week.
yeah. So anyway, we met this group of guys who were like archetypal, stereotypical US finance bros, weren't they?
Oh, 100%. No
Yeah.
fashion sense. No chat.
Absolutely no chat.
Receding hairlines. Pesting birds.
Yeah, so we basically observed them pesting this group, or this pair of girls. And the first initial contact this bloke made, right, he went up and he went basically behind them, said hello, and then they were like, oh, come round, sit over there, sit opposite them. So he then walked around the table, sat down, and immediately pushed both of their drinks all over them. So,
Yeah.
in terms of a first impression, not ideal.
Yeah, he was at that kind of level of inebriation where you start to lose your motor skills.
Yeah, which isn't ideal when you're talking to girls.
No, yeah, so he literally
So
threw...
if you do soak them in the first 5 seconds in the wrong
But
way.
again, this is where the differences in cultures are like so apparent. Because if that happened in the UK, he would have either, best case scenario for him would have got swilled himself. Worst case scenario would have got glassed.
Yeah, they just laughed it off.
They laughed it off and continued to talk to him for about an hour.
Yeah, and the rest. And his mates. They like entertained him for ages and then they just fucked off. It was great.
Yeah.
And
That was mental. I couldn't get on board with that.
no, because again, British girls would just tell you to fuck off.
Yeah, these lechy blokes. So there was like 6 blokes and 2 birds, and
Yeah.
they actually had them surrounded at
yeah.
one point. It was like pincer formation.
They were left flanking at one point.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a very distinct difference, actually. The response from those two
But
women.
to be fair, that bar was actually pretty good.
It was pretty good. It was
And they
getting
were
decently busy.
playing some alright tunes
They
because
were
they actually
playing
had
some
a
good tunes.
DJ. But then I'd say after that, I was kind of indifferent to everywhere that we went.
The next place was Gash,
Really gash.
wasn't it? We
Like
stayed
fucking
there
our mate fucking Annie Mac on the deck.
That was shit.
Playing absolutely shit like early noughties R&B.
Yeah, so that was terrible. The clientele was a lot older, it was like 45 plus, I would probably say, generally. And so, stayed there for a little bit. But again, that wasn't over 60% full, ever.
No.
Was it? And
No,
so,
and again, it's full of old people. Where are all the young people?
where are the youngies?
Where... Sean, clip that up out of context, please.
Where are the fucking 20-somethings? Anyway, so then we went to the final place we were in, so which we stayed in for ages. That's
where I departed.
Yeah, we were there for like an hour before you went, though, weren't we?
Yeah, I mean,
we
again,
were just chilling. That was alright.
like aesthetically, that was like quite
cool.
a cool bar. I don't remember thinking much of the music, and again, the people in there were just a bit fucking like, who are you? Do you know what I mean? Who are you? Like,
Well,
to
we
quote
actually were
Nigel,
followed by
to
the same...
to quote Nigel Farage, nobody in Europe had ever heard of it.
Literally, yeah. They were followed by the same group of guys, actually, from the second place we were in. eventually, and they latched themselves onto 3 other girls who were also not reacting well. And basically, what we found out after, because we were talking to the girls afterwards, was these blokes were effectively married, and it was, one of them was married, one of them was like, I don't know, fucking, what's the word?
Engaged.
Engaged, that's one. I couldn't think of it. So yeah, that's a bit fucking jacking it.
That doesn't surprise me. They were the type of bloke. They just oozed seediness, didn't they?
Correct. Yeah, they did. So so Eddie left. He was our lift. And yeah, so then we had to get an Uber back. And our Uber back, actually, if we just fast forward to the end of the night, was fucking awesome. The guy was mega sound. We got in the Uber and he had 2 TVs on the back of the seats, and we were watching the Goonies on the way back.
That's mental.
It's probably one of the best Ubers back from night out I've had.
Yeah, mind you, there was no volume though, was there?
No, true.
Bit of a flaw in his plan there.
Yeah, I mean, he's tried, hasn't he? I mean,
unless he puts on like old silent movies, unless he's like a Charlie Chaplin fan, he's going to be a bit unstuck there, isn't he?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, the effort was there, which I quite rated. So
yeah.
So yeah, that was the night out. Again, to go back again another evening.
That's Thursday.
That was Thursday.
What happened Thursday?
Yeah. Thursday, I went on a date.
You did?
Yeah.
I'm proud of you.
Thanks, man. Yeah, we went to a.
I didn't.
Comedy
Yeah.
club, which was actually pretty shit. But
this is right.
The date was alright.
Yeah, but this is the thing. So like, you've set yourself unrealistic expectations of American comedy now, because you will not find a better comedy bill than the one that we went to at the Mothership.
In the first week.
You've got to reach acceptance on that.
No, I have.
To quote Gareth Simmons.
I was at least wanting it to be like 70% as good though, and it wasn't. Shock. So we went for a drink first, and then we went into the creek and the cave, which I think, to be fair, I thought it was a Thursday night, so it wasn't like a big comedy thing. So I think it was just like an open mic thing, not an open mic, but like it was like lower known comics, and it wasn't horrendous. I mean, there was one guy who was pretty shite, which is just funny because you're just chatting back and forth, and that's all right. The audience was questionable at best, and then there was like 2 or 3 comics that were actually pretty good. It wasn't terrible.
We need to address this propensity for comedy audiences in the States to whoop and holler.
Well, that's very just inside the culture, isn't it? To whoop and holler at lots of things. I mean, if people order a beef rib, they fucking go mental.
But again, this is like, is a good example of Americans just going through the motions and not really thinking about what they're actually doing. So we were watching the Jim Jeffries gun control clip on YouTube last night because Jim, our housemate, hadn't seen it. And at one point, Jim Jeffries is arguing that after Sandy Hook, the US government suggested that they take away the bigger guns, and the US public said, fuck you, don't take my guns. To which point, a large proportion of the audience did whoop and holler.
Which makes no sense at all.
Because you're basically there whooping and hollering the fact that a lot of children were murdered.
Yeah, and your reaction was stupid.
They whoop and holler at everything. No sense.
And
they're so dumb.
Yeah, that audience. Well, I mean, in fairness, I'm being unfair when I say the audience. I mean a specific like group of the audience who were sat right at the front, who probably stink the gaff out every fucking night. Yeah. And they expect them there, but like it's just a bit jarring because it just ruins your fucking a little bit ruins your experience.
But it's like they're so surprised. It's like they want people to know they understand what the comic's talking about.
Correct.
You know, you mentioned something like, I don't know, so he's talking about school. They're like, yeah,
I went to school.
I went to a school. I know what that is.
Yeah, exactly. That's true.
Right. That's why he's talking about it, because it's relatable for everyone here, mate.
We've skipped a step.
Don't think you're a part of this. I don't need your confirmation that you went to school.
Yeah, and that's actually why the Rogan Club was so good, because it says exclusively on the way in, no fucking heckling.
Yeah, basically, shut the fuck up.
Just let the fucking comics get on with what they want to do, because they're the fucking prize here.
Shut the fuck up, or you will get kicked out
by Joe Rogan.
Yeah,
who will armbar you. So that was the date. It went alright. It was pretty good, apart from the comedy being fairly good. Actually, it was quite a good reconnaissance exercise for kind of like getting to grips with what growing up in Texas is like, So obviously we've spoke to like people, but never. Obviously that's one-on-one and for a prolonged period of time.
You got prolonged exposure to one individual, didn't you? So
yeah, exactly. You can kind of delve
a good
in.
little case study that you developed there.
Yeah, it was good. It was quite interesting just hearing about their education system, like how much they spend on education in terms of further education is wild. But yeah, that was interesting.
Oh, we've missed something. We need to track back. Speaking of education system, it reminded me of our mate.
Oh yeah,
In-N-Out Burger.
Yeah, so we had our first In-N-Out Burger experience.
So if your date was like your first case study,
true, yeah,
of like a Texan, our second case study actually came last night when we went to In-N-Out Burger, and the two guys that were sat in the booth behind us turned round towards the end of our meal and kind of like started picking our brains because they'd never met a Brit before, so they wanted our opinion of America, basically.
Yeah.
And where do you want to start with this certain individual?
Yeah, so it was actually quite a surreal exchange. Because
they were lovely.
They were really, really friendly. Yeah, they were super nice. So basically, they just collared us because they hadn't, like Eddie said, hadn't met a Brit before, hadn't been to Britain, haven't left America, and they were just asking some really crazy questions.
But so they were asking questions that if you asked someone if two Brits were having a conversation and you asked the person in the UK, it would perceive to be like sarcastic.
Yeah, that's the level of ignorance.
Yeah, that is the level of ignorance we're talking about. But they were asking them completely, like, earnestly and sincerely.
Yeah. So I mean, one of the highlights for me was the guy asked, because obviously we said we were from Birmingham and we said that's where the Peaky Blinders was filmed and shot, and he's like, oh, okay, so is that an accurate representation of what it's like over there?
Right, so it's a period drama set in the 1920s and 30s about a fictional gangster and his criminal family.
Yeah, exactly the same. It's
like for like, mate.
Yeah,
it's actually about me.
Yeah. Billy Kimber lives down my street.
That was meant. So for context, this guy hadn't actually left the States before, had he?
No, so he grew up in Indiana. And came down to Austin. That was it. That was him. And he was at like the university, the Catholic university, local one.
And I felt bad for him in a way because he genuinely was interested in it.
And he was like super friendly, super nice, fairly au fait with kind of social interaction, which is cool.
And also the other thing that I did admire him for is a lot of the Americans that we've spoken to have basically engaged us in conversation because they want to talk about how amazing they are, or B, want to talk about how amazing America is.
Yeah, that was a disconnect.
He genuinely came from a place of curiosity, and he just wanted our honest opinion.
Yeah, and we gave it him.
And I think he respected us for that as well.
Yeah, that's true. So we were asked again, we said, what do you think about America was kind of his first question. And we just answered honestly that it is a bit like a third world country with amazing PR that tells everyone it's the best country.
Yeah, Jim's on the money when he says that. That's like the perfect articulation of America, really, isn't it?
Yeah, because it's just a disparity, isn't it? And we can
the world's biggest economy can't have such a prevalent like homelessness issue,
drug issue,
like opioid crisis. Like the wealth disparity is mental. Like, how can you say you're the best country in the world when there's basically like no civil society?
Well, so
everyone's just out for themselves.
Exactly. Well, he nailed that, didn't he?
Yeah.
He was like, yeah. Well, we actually were talking to him about the homelessness epidemic, and he was like, yeah. Well, you don't really worry about anyone else here.
Yeah.
It's like, what?
Because I'm sound. So.
I can fucking tell that.
Yeah, I can tell, mate.
Well, that's the issue, innit? Because people need a hand. Like, you can't just go through life being an individual, can you? Because that's not how things work.
And then we started talking about our welfare state, and that fucking
blew his absolute socks
blew
off.
his mind. The idea that like the
government
might look after you if you're going through a hard time. That was fucking lost on him, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the idea that you pay taxes for something.
Yeah,
like it's mental.
Where
the taxes go in?
The idea that your taxes might actually go towards like health or education and not just like Lockheed Martin. You know what I mean?
Or defence.
Well, that's what I mean. It's a fucking
that's their
defence manufacturer, isn't it?
Their entire budget basically goes on defence. Yeah. But yeah, so he was really taken aback when we were talking about the health care system in the UK.
But it was an interesting conversation though, because like I think that's probably like the first kind of like proper Texan that we've spoken to.
Yeah.
Because everyone that we kind of interact with at the gym and stuff normally aren't actually from Austin.
No, a lot of them are. It's like a melting pot of cultures, isn't it? Really.
Yeah.
Especially the gym, because everyone's like well off enough to go to that gym.
Yeah, so
effectively.
basically they're from
They've
elsewhere.
been elected to come to Austin.
Yeah, they're from elsewhere in the States and they've moved to Austin, so they're a bit more cultured, they're a bit more travel. But this guy was like
born and raised.
very
No,
insular,
yeah.
which I think is quite representative of
Well,
most
like
Americans.
80% of Americans don't have a passport.
Yeah, which is what.
Think about that from a European standpoint. Like, imagine not having a passport. It's not even a question, is it?
Yeah.
But because you can do so much internal travelling in the States, you don't even need one.
Yeah, and just to jump through basic like hoops as a citizen, you need a passport as ID.
Yeah. It's mental. So like that was pretty wild. And we're talking to him about the education system, or like earlier education in terms of like secondary school, and it was mental. He was like, you don't really learn history of any other place. Just learn, and in Texas, you learn history of Texas.
Yeah,
it's like,
so there's
no one else matters. Let's just talk to you about the history of Texas, which actually is only fucking 200 years old.
Yeah, this is the wild thing. So like you're learning about the history of America. The country's 250 years old.
Yeah.
Like, just for context, like England as like a nation state has existed uninvaded for around 1,000 years.
Well, the Royal
Conquest.
Marines are older than America.
Yeah, that's mental.
That's ridiculous, isn't it? And so, so I think that was just interesting to hear how, because obviously we have speculation about how insular and kind of out of touch Americans are with in terms of their like
that kind of brought it to light.
Yeah,
really.
their education system. So it was kind of interesting. But yeah,
the fact that they have no unified education system is mental as well.
Yeah, they teach different things in different states.
So that's like our education system before the national curriculum was brought in like the late 80s. So like when my parents first started teaching, you could basically teach whatever you wanted to teach the kids. Yep. From what it sounds like, on a state-to-state basis, that's what it's still here.
Yeah, so you could feasibly get schooled in California or schooled in Florida or schooled in Texas and get to talk completely different things, which is
kind of annoying, which is a bit shit, really, if you think about it from a national perspective, because you're basically raising a load of different kids with completely different worldviews, completely different kind of like value systems,
and then trying to have them align in a culture.
Yeah, it's mental. It's not really like a breeding ground for assimilation, that is it?
No, and that's where the individualisation comes in, probably.
Yeah. But the idea that all you'd learn in history is like the fucking Alamo.
Yeah, and
how you kind of like deliberately wiped out the indigenous population over a period of about 150 years.
I wonder if they talk about Waco.
Yeah, again.
I bet it's so cherry picked.
It's so it'll be so whitewashed and cherry picked as well.
Yeah.
It'll be all the best bits.
None of the fuck ups.
They probably tell them that the South won the Civil War.
Yeah, there was an equivalent to Waco that was like a bit of a similar kind of FBI fuck up, and they used that as a success story to teach how to fucking handle hostage situations.
Which one?
I can't remember the name of it, but it was kind of a similar idea where there was like a hostage situation. But the funniest thing this guy said was, after he asked us about Peaky Blinders being representative of Birmingham, he then asked, "Is Harry Potter representative of England?" And to which Eddie responded, "Well, we're not wizards," which was fucking brilliant.
I just said it deadpan because I was like, "Mate, you can't be fucking serious here. It's a fucking it's a fantasy world about witches and wizards."
Yeah, so in England we all fly around on brooms. That just so happens, we have flying cars. It's mad.
That just so happens to feature quite a lot of British actors.
Yeah. How do you? What do you mean by that fucking sentence? Like, honestly, I can't think. Like, what is
the
he
only
thinking
realistic thing about Harry Potter is fucking King's Cross Station.
But that's not even realistic. He's got an extra fucking.
Because he's got an imaginary platform.
Yeah, it's absolutely mental.
Glenfinnian Viaduct as well. That's a real place.
Yeah,
but other than that, most of it, mate, he's fucking made up.
Yeah.
Or stolen from Tolkien. That's another argument.
And he was like, "Is Harry Potter big over there?" Nah, mate.
Right, again, so let's just unpack what he said there.
It's the biggest film franchise in the world.
What you've done there, mate, is you've asked if the biggest film franchise in the world is big in the country where it was made.
Yeah, I mean,
you see the pitfall to your fucking question there.
It's not ideal, is it?
Yeah, you've answered your own question and you know that.
Yeah. So anyway, that was an interesting back and forth. That was on. That was last night actually.
Do you want to talk
about burger?
Do you want to talk about jits?
Yeah, I mean, you can do.
You've been wrestling men, haven't you?
I've been naked wrestling again.
I know you're keen to talk about it. So
yeah. So
opportunity.
So jiu-jitsu in the States, well, in Austin in particular, is huge. So it's like probably one of the biggest sports here, I guess, outside of fucking pickleball. Everyone seems to do it. Everyone in the sauna, half the conversation is about jiu-jitsu.
Yeah,
which is insane.
But it's also expensive, we've learned.
Oh, mate, it's ridiculous. So I've been to now 2 jiu-jitsu gyms, 10th Planet and B Team, both of which, to be fair, are super high ranked in terms of like globally in terms of jiu-jitsu gyms. And we're very good sessions. But the drop-in fee at B Team was $50.
That's
to drop in.
So like that's an hour. Quid. So like to break that down, that's an hour session, right?
Yeah.
So that's £50 an hour. That's a lot of money.
It's a mad amount of money. And then the monthly recurring membership at B Team is $250 a month, which is fucking ridiculous. To give context to that, in Wolverhampton, where I usually train, £79 a month is the membership. So we're looking at 3x and the rest. And so that's a bit crazy. And then the cheaper one in 10th Planet is still $180 a month, which is mental. But the sessions are really good. B Team was fucking mental because the session I did at 10th Planet was a bit tame. It was just like some techniques, did no rolling. The session I did at B Team was sort of the opposite end of the spectrum. So we did drills, which is a little bit of like live stuff, live practice basically, and then in the last 25 minutes they just lined us up against the wall and had like 5 of their slightly more advanced people on their backs and basically had to try and pass their guard and stuff. Mate, I'm not joking when I say I probably lasted maximum about 20 seconds with these people. And this is a white belt class.
Before you tapped out or you came?
Both. Same time. I passed out and came at the same time. It was wild. So this is a white belt program. So I went 6 till 7 o'clock at night is their white belt class.
So that's the lowest rung of the ladder, basically.
Yeah.
That's the beginner class.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, cool. I'll go to that. I've only done it 6 weeks, and I won't hopefully be overfaced. There's no way these people are white belts. Maybe they are, but I don't know. Because I mean, I was getting caught in all sorts of fucking shit that I've never seen before in my life, and I just didn't know how to deal with it. And they didn't really teach. Obviously, they taught you. They were going through one thing in the class, which was like a specific passing of the guard. But I couldn't fucking use that on these people because all they were doing was like sweeping me and fucking submitting me every time.
Yeah, you need to if it is a beginner class, the teachers need to set some parameters there. Because if there are more advanced people, it's not fair on the less advanced people if they're pulling out mental shit.
You're not really learning much.
Because you're not learning much there. So like the quality of education is probably better in Wolverhampton if you're actually being demoed techniques and then going through them.
Yeah, I would agree, yeah. I mean,
obviously you're kind of being exposed to more proficient
players.
What are they called?
That's what they call them.
Jiu-jitsuers.
Jiu-jitsu players, as they call them.
Right, players, yeah.
So like, I mean, you're right, but there's a balance, I think. So that you need exposure, like you say, to advanced people because I think that does expand your thinking a little bit because you didn't even know this thing existed. Now you've got to figure out how to fucking defend it. Whereas if you're just rolling white belts, you're only ever going to be exposed to a certain amount of things. But also, if I'm only lasting 15 seconds, 10 seconds, 5 seconds, there's no time for me to fucking iterate or time for me to do. So what you need is advanced people who let you play a bit. Who, because they've got so much technique.
100%. So
they can just do things and they can let you do stuff.
It's so good they can actually, because they're so good they have a wrap on their actual skill level, so they can dial it back for people.
That's it, and that's where you get really good training partners because they'll let you learn stuff and let you try things. But if you get too good, maybe they'll try to catch you. But they won't just immediately.
If they wanted to, they can turn it on and just shut you down.
Well, that's it.
But it's like because they're so good, they'll know. It's almost like they know the pitfalls that a beginner would make, so they can accommodate it.
Yeah, and that's probably like blue belt or purple belt and above, which I think these guys were, I'd imagine. But again, B Team, if you're not in the space, is like potentially the best gym in the world. So it makes sense that even the blue belts, purple belts are fucking like insane. And what I found actually is because wrestling is such a mad sport here, like college wrestling, maybe like 70-80% of the people. I go, how long have you been in jiu-jitsu for? And these are white belts. It's like, 5 or 6 months. but I did wrestling for 10 years.
Yeah, it's
like,
a bit deceiving that actually, because on the surface they have no real jiu-jitsu experience, but because wrestling is so transferable.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, well, you've wrestled since you were 5.
Yeah, so it's just like grips and that.
Yeah,
sort of
so they've just got squeeze strength, which is like so important from what I understand anyway.
Well, it is, and like sweeps and stuff as well. They kind of really map over, which is why I was getting swept all left, right, centre.
He's still grappling, isn't it?
Yeah, and that guy we're talking about, who's the rugby player. That's similar.
Mate.
Yeah, and again, it's similar and it's similar strength. So like a lot of these guys are sort of lost athletes, if you will, who are just now fucking cleaning up in jiu-jitsu. But I'll continue to persist, I think. I'll continue to go. I just don't know where to go now.
No, well, like you said, if like it's worth keeping it up while you're here, just because of the pure experience of it. Like you're not going to have that much exposure to so many good players.
Yeah, exactly.
Anywhere else on the planet, it's like the epicenter of jiu-jitsu, isn't it?
Yeah, it is now, I think, and I will try. There's like you say, there's loads of different good gyms, so I have to just pop around and do. That might actually
not be a bad strategy to adopt, because you're not here indefinitely. So maybe if you do just get a flavour for each of the different gyms, it might be the best way to kind of harvest
a little bit of the knowledge.
A little bit of knowledge, yeah.
Yeah, I mean the only other thing I've found, and I don't know, it seems to be more here than anywhere else, because I think people train so regularly. The sessions always start with, oh yeah, okay, so we were doing this last night, so
last night
we'll build on that.
Get a life.
So like, fuck me, these people are there every week,
these people
every day.
Got a fucking airbed in the corner. Go home,
pay the fucking rent.
Yeah, well, to be fair, for 250 quid a month, I'd expect fucking accommodation.
Yeah. Well, we were talking about that girl in the coffee shop today, and she was saying, was it 5 years ago? She said 10 years ago. Okay, 10 years ago, she was paying $400 for her apartment for a one bed. Now a one bed in Austin is about $2,100.
It's mental, mate. The kind of the trajectory that Austin has gone on in the past decade, from the sounds of it, not that I'm a fucking expert, is mental. The cost. So, like, didn't she say inflation had increased by 40% in a year?
6 months.
What?
Yeah, 40%. How does that even happen? I was actually thinking
That's like Germany in the 30s.
Yeah.
When people were walking around with fucking wheelbarrows of cash and it was worth about a loaf of bread.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like that. I was thinking this. Living here, though, is going to be such good comparison therapy for, like, anywhere else you want to live. So there's probably... I was thinking, where else in the world is going to be this expensive? Probably nowhere.
Well, Jim, again, to name drop Jim, who will be coming on the podcast in a few weeks, he's pretty sure that he was able to live for less money in Dubai.
Yeah, and Dubai is sort of pushed as the kind of...
Which is like supposedly like the kind of global capital of capitalism and like opulence.
Well, exactly. It's where people go if they've got loads of money and they can do whatever. But like here it seems to be everything is more expensive. So I think when you go home, home is a good example, but anywhere like in Europe or everything, Europe's super cheap. So I think having the comparison of being here, your money is going to stretch so much further in the UK.
We've already talked about this, but it has made us realise, like, it has made us grateful for things that we took for granted back home and in Europe.
Yeah.
Like cheese.
Oh.
We've got to talk about cheese.
We've got to talk about Cheesegate.
Cheesegate.
Yeah.
So, we've learnt two things about cheese, really, since we've been here. The first one being you eat a block of cheese a week.
I eat a lot of
cheese.
Which is
some going. I can get behind that. Secondly, there's three things. Secondly, the Americans don't really do proper cheese.
They only do plastic shit cheese.
They do plastic shit cheese. If you do find real cheese, it costs an arm and a leg.
It's extortion. It's like it's come from the fucking king of the cows, mate. It was $9.99 for a very, very modest block of cheese.
Yeah, so they're the equivalent of like Cathedral City back home.
Yeah, but like smaller.
Your standard, like bog standard, like mature cheddar.
Which is what, about £3?
4 quid a block.
Maybe, yeah. 4.
Right. In the States, for like half of that amount of cheese, it's 10 quid.
I'm going to do my weekly shop in Waitrose when we get back.
Yeah, because like, I'll just be used to paying that much
That's
now.
what I'm thinking. That's what I'm saying, though.
Like, it's normalised now, so I might as well just carry on.
Well, this is it. So because I think even then it'll be cheaper than here.
Yeah.
So I think it's good. It's a good thing that we're like doing this now. And then even if you went to like Sydney, anywhere, Sydney's expensive, but it's not this. I think that is a positive to having willing have spent like fucking 6 to 8
and
weeks.
Like French cheese, like brie. So like, I've spent quite a lot of time in France. My parents, I'm lucky enough to have like a holiday home over there. Never again will I take French produce for granted.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you can get brie over there. They basically give it away because it's just so ingrained in the culture. Like it's assumed that everyone has the right to eat cheese.
Every night, cheese and wine.
Yeah, literally. But like here, like a decent brie is like 13 quid for a fucking little triangle. That's bollocks.
It is crazy. If you wanted to eat like the amount of cheese that most people in the UK eat, you'd be spending fucking a fortune, which is what I'm doing.
Yeah. Because cheese is that good.
Yeah.
There's the fourth point. Cheese is worth the money.
Exactly. If you're going to skimp on anything, don't skimp on cheese.
Yeah, I'd rather have no fresh water before I lose cheese.
Yeah. That'll be happening here soon. Yeah, so that was where we are. Where are we in the week? We were
at Thursday still.
Backwards from that, anything go on? We
didn't really do anything early week, did we?
No, we were kind of just cementing the routine again, I guess, just working and gymming.
Well, we try and get as much we try and be as productive as we can, like early in the week, don't we? So then we can kind of like slowly unwind towards the end of the week. I know obviously we haven't today, but I think moving forward as well, we're going to try and square the podcast away earlier in the week because the upload speed here isn't great.
Terrible.
So we'd rather, and obviously we have more energy earlier in the week as well, so it's more beneficial for you.
Yeah,
we
exactly.
put out better content.
Yeah, I think that's what we're going to do. We do need to try and solidify the routine a little bit more, I think, because it's slightly disjointed, isn't it?
To turn the screw.
Yeah, I mean, we've done a good job, I think, because we've only been here, 2 weeks?
We're in a pretty good routine. It just needs fine-tuning.
Yeah, I think I just need to get used to the time zones and working with people who obviously are in England, because it's so difficult to wake up and be fucking behind.
Yeah. It is, because you just we spoke about this last week, didn't we? Like, you just wake up to, like, a cacophony of various notifications that you're immediately met with.
Yeah, and if one of those is negative, which is obviously inevitably probably is, then you're like fucking starting the day on the back foot.
Especially early in the week when, like, if you're a coach, because you're just basically like dealing with fires that you need to put out, aren't you?
From the weekend, correct? Yeah, I mean, that's it. I typically will wake up with messages from clients, but here it's amplified so much more because it's like 1 o'clock by the time I wake up.
Well, they compound, don't they? Because normally you'd answer them when they come in, when you're on the same time zone. But obviously, because they've got like 6 hours worth of messaging time while you're asleep.
Yeah, it just adds up. We're going to Cape Town next, same time zone.
Yeah, Cape Town. That'd be sick.
That'd be sick, wouldn't it?
It'll still be fucking cheaper.
That's what I'm thinking. This is what I mean when I'm saying like it's an advantage, because now wherever we travel, I'm like, well, fuck it.
I'm like day to day, like groceries and stuff must be cheap in Cape Town. I assume that like stuff that we take for granted, so like I reckon Wi-Fi will be an issue. Like data.
But I think it's quite a hub for digital nomads. That
maybe, yeah, true. My only frame of reference is a YouTuber who I used to watch who lived there about 7 years ago, so it's probably a bit outdated now.
What's his name? Iman Fugazi. He's not Fugazi. There's a guy who's like a prevalent 22-year-old fucking billionaire or whatever.
Right.
He's on TikTok and he was saying, this is a bit ridiculous, but he was saying he finds it absolutely impossible to spend more than 40 grand a month in Cape Town.
Obviously, get on board with that.
Obviously, that's a lot of money, right? But if he's actively trying, most expensive restaurants, most expensive wine, food, whatever, and he can't physically spend more than that money,
yeah,
surely that means you come down from that and you think, fucking hell, well, he still can live a really good life.
Yeah, I can get on board with
here,
that.
Fuck me, you could do that.
Easy, mate. Right, so we've covered last week. What are we doing next week?
Good question.
Just to tee people up. It's my interview episode, which we're going to try and film
midweek,
like Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday.
Are we skydiving next week?
To be confirmed. Potentially with skydiving. We'll probably at least go to a gun range. I don't know whether you need to like book in a bit more advance with skydiving, because it'll be weather dependent as well.
That's true. Yeah.
So we might be seeing off with that. We can always go to a gun range though.
Yeah, so we'll do one of those two, if not both.
Because I'm a bit of a World War II nose, if anyone didn't know. Long-time listeners will know, because I will have chewed your ear off about it. But I have a fantasy about firing World War II weaponry.
That'd be amazing, wouldn't
it? So I want to fire like an M1 carbine.
It's got to be somewhere.
A Tommy gun. Mate, they love, because the one thing I can get on board with America is, because they fucking knocked the war out the park, they love talking about it.
Yeah.
So they get hard for like all that shit.
Memorabilia.
So there's got to be like a fucking
I
a
just
gun
don't know
range
whether
that has
there'd
like
be.
vintage weaponry.
I just don't know whether they'd be workable.
Of course, mate. There's still serviceable fucking
Tommy guns.
You
That'd
should
be
know,
sick.
mate. If you keep a gun in good order, surely it'll just work indefinitely.
I guess so. Yeah, I can't see why not. It's just whether you could source whether the ammo is the same. I'm not sure, but it probably is. I think that'd be awesome. Have we covered Band of Brothers?
No, we haven't.
Yeah. So
We've spoken about this when we did our top 5 war films, though. We have already.
Oh yeah.
We have already bigged up Band of Brothers, but you hadn't seen it. I think
I
that
haven't
was
se-
all
I haven't
coming from
seen
me.
it. Yeah, exactly. So Eddie's now introduced me to Band of Brothers. Most of you will have seen it. It's quite old now. But we're trying to do an estood a night, and there's 10 episodes. We're almost there.
Are you invested?
I am very invested.
It is so good, isn't it? It's like the storyline and the characters are so kind of well constructed that like
It's very, very good.
it's very emotive, isn't it? You do get very invested in the characters.
Yeah, you do. And the kind of, I guess it's like special effects. It's not really, but like
this is so it's not special effects. Most of the stuff on screen that you see happened.
that's
much.
mad. Isn't it?
So it's like I think they spent a lot on actually kind of like doing
Stuff authentically.
doing it authentically, which why it hasn't dated so badly, I think.
Yeah, that's true. Because like I say, it's old now, but it still looks really, really good. Because the thing is, I really like as we spoke about on that episode, Lone Survivor, all those kind of more modern war films where they can really dig out on the effects and make it look quite realistic. This is basically like 10 of them back to back.
It's mad, isn't it?
Constructing a story, it's fucking sick.
It's deceiving when you say mini series because like it does it a disservice almost, doesn't it?
Yeah, I guess so.
It's like an epic series.
Yeah. True.
But actually, to be fair, just so everyone's aware, if you don't know what Band of Brothers is, it basically follows the story of Easy Company in the 101st Airborne Division of the US Army. It basically covers their story from training in like 1941, 42, all the way through to the end of the war.
Yeah, which is kind of it's really cool to see.
And
You've seen it about 20 times.
Yeah, it's a true story as well, we should say.
Yeah,
it's not
that's true.
fictional. It's based on a book written about the actual soldiers of Easy Company.
Yeah, and they start it with each episode starts with an interview with the actual members of Easy Company.
Yeah,
like
which makes it really powerful. Because obviously it's about 25 years old now, so they filmed it at just the right time because most of the veterans were still alive.
Yeah. So if you haven't watched it, it's on. Is it on British Netflix?
It's not. I don't know how you'd get it in Britain, to be honest. I've got it on DVD, obviously, because I'm a Nors.
Yeah, you are.
You'll be
able to find it.
You'll be able to get it on DVD.
But if you're in America, it's on the American Netflix. So there you go. And we got to cover that actually. American Netflix is shit. Outside of Band of Brothers, there's fuck all on it.
Yeah, I mean you don't
It's
even.
shit.
Yeah, you don't even need to go any more detail on that. Just take our word for it. There's nothing on it.
Yeah. I had this idea that everything was on American Netflix.
Again.
Even fucking Friends isn't on it.
Mate, again,
which is mad.
Again, it's all marketing.
Yeah, it's true.
No substance behind it, mate.
It's true. It's very true.
The home of Hollywood can't even fucking
Square away their biggest
square away
fucking
Netflix. Bollocks that.
Streaming service. Yeah. Anyway, that was this week.
Tell you what else we're doing next week.
What else?
So we've obviously got potentially skydiving and most likely a gun range. NBA.
Oh yeah.
First American basketball game.
First American sports game.
Yes. So we're going to go and watch the San Antonio Spurs. No idea who they're playing.
No idea who they are.
Don't even know who the fucking San Antonio Spurs are, to be honest.
I just know it's going to be NBA and it's going to be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm going to get the full fucking experience going. We're driving like 80 miles to go and see it. It's going to be, because it's out of Austin. Austin don't have a fucking sports team, which is jarring. Yeah. But, so we're going to go watch that. I'm going to fucking fully indulge in the full thing.
Mate, it's got I've seen a lot of live basketball in the UK because me and my dad always used to go and watch the British Basketball League Cup final at the NIA every year.
Yeah.
And that was good. So this is going to be like that on steroids.
Yeah, because it's an American sport.
Yeah.
It's going to be
and they do everything bigger and better.
Yeah.
And
especially sports.
I can get on board with basketball. It is a good game. It
is a very good game.
Both to play and spectate.
Yeah.
Because it's so end to end.
I agree with that. It's
there's
really high energy.
Because there's a shot clock. So as soon as one team starts attacking, they have 25 seconds to get a shot off. Otherwise, it times out. So
it keeps you really engaging.
So you're never more than like 30 seconds away from like a point being scored, basically.
That's awesome. And obviously, I'm a massive fan of High School Musical, so it'll be
I like the way that's where you're coming at it from.
yeah. So that'll be really cool. Anything else happened this week?
Not really.
I feel like Theo Von. What else is happening, man?
Yeah, not much really.
So, yeah, that was our weekly roundup. We'll move into our final segments.
Yes,
Underrated, overrated.
It's either underrated
You've charmed me.
or it's overrated.
Well, that was fucking dreadful.
Can you remember yours?
I can, just about.
I need to check mine.
My underrated, overrated for this week, and we've covered it slightly, but I want to go into more detail, is American supermarkets. Because again, PR, they're pushed as, like, and people always report it as being like, oh, the fucking tapestry of variety and fucking whatever. But I think they're pretty shit,
They are.
with one notable exception of Trader Joe's.
Trader Joe's is good, but it's no better than like an average British supermarket.
That's true. Yeah,
It just stands out like a beacon of hope here because all the others are so shit.
Well, that's it. So we've been to now Trader Joe's, Target, Whole Foods, fucking Walmart, basically all of them, pretty much. And they're all very expensive, which is a red flag. All of them, apart from Trader Joe's and Whole Foods, to be fair, are like full of just terrible food. Basically.
Yeah, so bad.
Like horrendous food. And so the quality of scran you get is terrible. The meats we've been getting last about 40 years.
Which is disconcerting because fresh meat really should last about a week before
Same as my milk. The milk, mate, lasts a month.
Yeah.
That's madness.
There's something going on there because if you actually look at the ingredients, it doesn't specify that they're adding anything to it, but they have to.
So yeah, the FDA. So look, obviously we talk about with coaching and stuff, fucking calorie counting or whatever, and you do that on MyFitnessPal and obviously scan barcodes and stuff. So the FDA can feasibly be, it's legal to be 20% out on calories.
Yeah, so the FDA is the Food and Drug Agency.
I guess so.
Is that what it stands for? It's basically the authority that's in charge of like regulating food and drugs in the United States.
But it's fair to say they're pretty lax.
They're shit, mate. Yeah, so hence why the quality of food is so poor, really, because you can, within reason, obviously within reason, you can't put fucking anthrax in your food. But whereas we've got pretty good food standards and like the general level of farming in the UK is good, which again we take for granted. In the US, you can basically pump whatever you want into your food within reason to make it more addictive.
Yeah, and if you don't want that, the thing is, if you want to go outside the norm and get something that's like not full of shit, you have to pay a premium for it. So I was so like the tuna is like the only option to have tuna in fucking Trader Joe's. Trader Joe's is quite expensive, to be fair, on the whole. One tin is like £2.50. I was like, I can't
That's
get on board
fucking
with that.
mental. I mean, we mentioned last week it's basically the same price to eat out as it is to cook food fresh, which makes no sense. Where's the incentive there for the US population to be healthy?
Well, yeah, you can just go to fucking... So, like, you could go to Chipotle almost every day for every meal and pretty much break even.
But in and out.
Yeah.
So in and out, a double burger. So like a double cheeseburger.
Yeah.
And chips and a drink in and out burger
Was
costs
$9.
Oh, was it $9?
With the chips and drink.
Yeah, okay, $9.
Yeah, so... and again, like... So, for full reference, a pound, so 480 grams of ground beef, was $8.
Yeah.
What? So what's happening? So I think there's something in the whole conspiracy thing that obviously there's no healthcare. So if we make our fucking populations really, really, really unhealthy and pump them full of shit all their lives, they're probably going to get cancer. They're then going to have to give us fucking millions of pounds in healthcare bills. So I think there's genuinely something in that.
I like this. Conspiracy, mate.
No, it is, but I think it's gen.
There's something fishy going on, isn't there? Because like we said, how can the biggest economy in the world and supposedly the greatest nation on earth basically not really have a civil society?
Yeah.
That's deliberate, isn't it?
Yeah.
At some point, it will have crossed a lawmaker's mind in Congress
to make
or the Senate. But like, should probably square people away a bit better here.
Yeah.
And then
But someone's gone over his shoulder.
Yeah, someone in the shadows who works for a lobbying group will have gone, yeah, you probably don't want to do that, mate.
Yeah. A Dominic Cummings.
Yeah. A winkle picker.
That's it. And he's going, nah, you don't want to do. I've ran the numbers, mate. You know?
I've ran the numbers. And
better off killing
yeah,
people.
but you will be financially better off if you shut your mouth.
Yeah, exactly. Also, a point of difference in this is really random, but I googled out of interest, I googled the top 1% earners in the US and the UK and compared them. In the US, it was £873,000 a year for the top 1%. In the UK, I was trying to compare, it was 173,000, which is £700,000 gap, which is fucking bizarre, isn't it?
Well, we spoke about this morning in the car. I made the point of that's all well and good, but society only moves as fast as the slowest person.
Yeah.
So you can have the majority of the world's millionaires and billionaires, but if you can't even square away the homelessness issue, what is the fucking point?
Well, it links back to what our mate in In-N-Out Burger was saying yesterday. Like, we don't really look at anyone else. As long as I'm earning a mil a year, then fucking sweet.
That's like driving a Nissan Micra and putting a fake exhaust and a spoiler on it. You're still driving a Nissan Micra, mate. I mean, it looks fancy.
Yeah.
You're not going to get anywhere in it.
True. Well, it further drives home the massive disparity and the fact that actually obviously on 170 grand a year in the UK, you could live a fucking insane life. Like that's pretty much. That's it, innit? You don't need any more than that. On 175 grand here, you could probably live a normal life.
Basically be middle class.
So I asked this bird I was on a date with, I asked her, what's the, left of arc, so the minimum amount of money you'd have to earn per year to live a comfortable life in Austin. Not an opulent life, comfortable life in Austin. And she just nonchalantly said 6 figures. And you can't just throw 6 figures out like it's fucking nothing, mate. That's like £8,000 a month.
Yeah. What alarmed me from when you told me the story originally was the lack of pause.
Oh yeah, it was just straight in.
It was a pre-prepared answer that she knew.
Yeah, 6 figs. She said 6 figs.
That's
mate.
mental. Again, it's just this American delusion.
Yeah, and she was on about, and that's why they all have these. And again, it's this fucking whole narrative, isn't it? Like, okay, you're gonna go to uni, you're going to pay a fucking shitload of money for education, then you're going to be in a hole because you have a massive bill to pay every month to pay me back for my fucking education that I've given you. That's going to land you a really good job at 100 grand a year, but actually we're going to take £1,000 of that every month for fucking repayments, and also we're going to make you pay fucking £4 grand a month for your rent. It's like, what the hell is
so it's
going
like
on?
so we're going to dangle the carrot of a big salary, but then if you unpack the numbers,
and to get there, you've got to actually give us 200k or whatever.
Yeah, so you're giving us 200k. You're then indebted to the system, so you're locked into this corporate 9-to-5 job. You basically don't have any time off. Your cost of living's loads. So we've dangled this carrot of a massive salary, but you're not actually seeing any of it, and you're basically just a slave to the system.
Yeah, and your pension age is going to be 70. You get a week off a year. It's this is insane.
It's mental,
so in terms of I get, and again, I made this point a couple of times with the lads. If you're here and you're self-employed and you're getting paid a fucking shit ton of money, you can probably live an awesome life. If you're employed here and you're getting paid anything less than 80k, which is mental, you're probably fucking on the breadline.
Yeah, you've got a much worse quality of life than
earning half that
than your fucking your equivalent or counterpart in the UK.
Yeah, but that's not even earning the same. Earning half.
No, yeah, earning half is mental. Anyway, my underrated, overrated leads us nicely on from this conversation, and it goes back to what we were talking about with our mate and the welfare state, the NHS.
Yeah. Well, I think we all know it's obviously underrated.
Brits take the NHS completely, entirely for granted. And I've been acutely aware of this for a while, but it's become more pronounced since we've been in the US, where every billboard is basically an injury lawyer for you advert or a variant of.
And again, this comes back to our conspiracy idea that because there is no healthcare, when you get when you get into a car crash or whatever, you've got to fucking fund that yourself. So it's got to people now have.
Yeah. So if you become injured or ill in the United States because the state aren't happy to square you away for free, someone's got to be to blame, so you can sue them and then pay for your medical bills.
Yeah, exactly.
It
Which
just,
is wild.
it just creates
a big echo chamber and ecosystem.
It just creates a big blame culture because now someone's always got to be at fault, which again isn't a very nice place to be, is it? Where like you live in fear of fucking accidentally injuring someone because then you'll just get sued the shit out of.
Well, this is it again. Like, imagine how many people are in that situation, and how many people kind of live in fear of becoming ill or having a catastrophic accident, or whatever, because they're on, on the living wage.
But what our mate was saying about the NHS was wild. So we were obviously explaining the concept of a national health system to him, and the idea that like if you sacrifice a bit of your tax money, it all goes into a big pot, and then we all have accessible free healthcare. That blew his fucking mind, mate. I may as well have been a Martian from Mars and come down and put a probe on his face and told him about fucking alien shit.
Yeah, it was ridiculous seeing his reaction to that. And actually,
he was like, wait, so what? He was like literally fucking scratching his head at this point. He was like, wait, so if you're like homeless and you're ill, you can just like go into a hospital and they'll look after you. And we were like, yeah. And he's like, whoa. You know that meme where it's that bloke, his hair's like all standing up and he's like, whoa.
Yeah, it was
that.
like we just, cured cancer or something. It was mad. So, I got this wrong actually. When I told you the other day, I inflated the numbers a little bit. But I found out from our mates the other day.
We've got a lot of mates, haven't we?
Guess how, we're very sociable people. Guess how much, and you can do this today, guess how much it is if you want to bell up an ambulance here to get them to take you to your local fucking gaff. I'll leave it like 10 seconds to hang there. See how much do you think it is? Obviously, it's free in the UK. Response times aren't great.
It's not free, but it's free to us.
Because
our tax pays for it.
Right, so if you, whatever happens, maybe let's just paint the picture. You get beaten up in an alleyway in fucking Austin, Texas, right?
By Joe Rogan.
Joe
Rogan's filled you in an alleyway and you're waiting for an ambulance. How much is it going to cost you?
It's going to cost you $3,000 just for that trip to the hospital.
You haven't even seen a healthcare professional at this point. You've just got to
call out there's a call out fee.
You've just got a lift there.
Yeah, basically.
You've got an Uber with flashing lights.
That's it. This girl was saying, unless I'm dying, get me an Uber. Because it's fucking like $3,000 cheaper. Imagine paying £3,000 for an Uber for an ambulance.
So to link it back to underrated, overrated, I think as a nation we should be much more appreciative of the NHS.
Yeah, and as a government we should fucking prioritise it.
COVID went a bit of a way to doing this, but we've forgotten about it again now.
Always the way.
Remember all that bollocks clapping? I couldn't get on board with, not because I don't buy into the NHS, but because I knew it was just a fucking token gesture.
Exactly, yeah, it's a virtue signal. The problem is, whenever something isn't a prevalent issue, as in it isn't causing a problem right now, humans can't appreciate it.
Yeah.
It's like the health. Broadly, in terms of like health and fitness,
climate change.
Yeah, until it's a fucking issue now, until you get a heart disease or whatever it is, you're not going to take action on it, which is stupid. We all know, and we get taught from a fucking early age, prevention is better than cure. So let's fucking act it.
Yeah, but let's appreciate the NHS more as well. I don't know how we go. Well, let's not fucking privatise it. That's a good start, isn't it?
Not privatise it, and stop people fucking calling. Calling ambulances when they don't need them, or calling whatever. When they don't need them.
And if like some of the young listeners aren't aware of what privatisation is, all that shit that we've just been spinning about how shit the US medical system is. Yeah, that's what privatisation is.
Yeah, that's privatisation. Basically means if you're rich, you can be seen. If you're not, you can't.
Yeah, and funnily enough, it's the rich people that peddle this narrative because it benefits them because they make a load of money from it, and then they don't have to help poor people.
The thing is, we still have private healthcare. If you have the money, you can go private.
That's what I mean. So just
fuck it, it's there. The choice architecture is there.
This is why I fucking hate like certain elements of the Conservative Party try and peddle privatisation. If you're that keen on it, mate, sign up for fucking Bupa.
Yeah,
and fuck off.
Exactly, and just shut the fuck up and let everyone else have the free. Because also, what that does actually is it takes you out of the fold for the NHS, so they don't have to worry about you now. And now you can get done by a private. And private healthcare, it's not extortionate in the UK. It's kind of it's expensive. So if you have the money, you may as well do it. And then again, that removes you from the pool of being needed to be like doted on by the NHS.
But let's be honest, certain politicians want to free the money that goes into the NHS up, so they can then siphon it off to themselves and their mates. That's what it is. It's complete self-interest.
Of course it is. Yeah, 100%. So yeah, we're
We covered everything today.
We have covered everything. Been
It's been like a Joe Rogan experience episode, hasn't it? It's like very meandering.
Let us know your thoughts on this style of episode where we just sit down and gob off. Because these are very.
We haven't finished yet.
I know. Well, I'm just prefacing it because some people might not make it through the next bit.
Yeah, true.
We're at least going to lose 10%.
Yeah. It's good to get some admin in as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already. Let us know what you think of these episodes.
We're very close to 1,000 subs on YouTube, so fucking hit that button, people.
Yeah, and we will get some more clips out this week. Well, and moving forward, we've just been obviously because we've been settling into Austin. It's not happened.
We'll actually clip up the previous 2 episodes and do bits of that as well.
Yes. So, final segment.
Reasons to be cheerful.
Do you want to do it? Or actually, I've forgotten what it is, so you have to introduce it. Can you remember what it is? I mean, I've written it down. It's a good job I've written it down.
Yeah, because I think we've both forgotten it. That's good.
I think we've both forgotten it. That's your way of saying, oh, here we go. This is good. This is actually a good reason to be cheerful, and it involves you, the listener. Me and Shep have come up with the idea of when we're back in the UK, or at some point, probably moving into spring when the weather's a bit better, of putting on a bit of a run club, bit of a meet-up for listeners of the podcast, our followers, people that follow our content, anyone that's interested in running. You don't even have to like us. If you just want a fancy run, then come along.
Yeah. So this will probably be likely Birmingham, and we'll bimble around. So we'll probably do a 5K or whatever, and then like go for coffee and all that kind of stuff. So again, that'll be probably springtime.
Weather's better, yeah. And obviously Birmingham, not just because we live near there, but it's a good transport hub. It's obviously in the middle of the country, in the Midlands. Yeah. It's easy for people to get to. It's fair. So it's equidistant from most places, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So that'll be, again, it'll be like super low barrier to entry, effectively. It'll be, accessible for everyone.
It'll just be a mega chilled, like 5K or something. It won't be like a mental ultra.
Yeah,
because it's more about the actual, more about the actual kind of like community meeting you guys and everyone getting together than it is the actual run. That's
and everyone else meeting each other and networking.
Yeah, that's just a vehicle for this to happen, basically.
Exactly that. Yeah. So, and also while we're doing announcements, so I've been thinking, we've been thinking this year, I guess, about doing something that is, I guess, not against the grain, but different, I guess. So what we're going to do, again, linking back to the Run Club. The Run Club will be free, by the way. He's going to put on a free event, I think.
Yeah, I'm up for that.
So obviously we've done the seminars in the past, and that's educational stuff, primarily for military prep. I do want to do a free one. I don't know what form that's going to take yet, or what's really going to be involved. Obviously, be some sort of workout. There'll be some sort of educational pieces or whatever. If you've got any suggestions or any fucking requests or whatever that you can think of us doing, and again, this will be free event for people to come to.
Yeah,
and it'll be value based
and accessible again. So don't say let's do fucking fan dance blindfolded or something.
Yeah,
like we want it to be something that everyone can get together and like it's low barrier to entry, basically.
Exactly. So we want to bring people together, have a fucking decent event, and again, it'll be free. So your only cost will be transport, and likely be in the Midlands. So just give us some messages or whatever if you want to put any suggestions forward.
Yeah,
job done.
But I think that's about it, isn't it? As I said, next week we will actually interview me.
Yeah, Eddie's going to be a guest on his own podcast.
That's good. A year after we started it.
yeah. So we'll do that next week, and the week after we'll have another guest on. So fantastic.
But yeah, that's it.
That's us.
Goodbye.
Thanks for listening.